call the Osceola Township Board meeting to order. Please note the time is roll call and attendance, please.
I'm here, Mr. Halkola.
Here.
I'm here.
We have
Thank you, Mr. Wareham.
3 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum. Next item on our proposed agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you're able. Please face the flag and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Next item on our proposed agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make it.
Ms. Gardner, is there support? Ms. Houle, are there any additions to the agenda? Please note that we have an action item coming up from the utility board relative to supplies. Anybody have anything else they believe needs to be added to the agenda before I call for a motion?
Do we need to put the Semco thing on the agenda?
Actually, that's part of my report.
Okay, so we don't
And
have to.
there will be an action item out of my report relative to Simco. It's a request to proceed.
Right. And is the Hanula an action item?
No, because the meeting with the volunteers has not taken place yet. We're not sure what they're offering, so.
Right. I'm just looking to make sure that everything is, yeah, I don't think so. No.
You comfortable with the way it's? A motion to approve the agenda as presented, noting an action item from the utility board. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Approval of the meeting minutes, we have 2 sets of minutes. The first one in the packet, according to the agenda, is the December 8th, 2021 meeting minutes. I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Go ahead, it's your turn.
Ms. Houle, do I have support?
I'll support it.
A motion and support to approve the minutes for the December 8th, 2021 board meeting. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions from anyone's perspective relative to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes for the December 8th, 2021 meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We also have a special meeting minutes from December 8th in your packet. Trust everyone's had a chance to look at that. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the special meeting?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Ms. Gardner, is there support?
I'll support.
Ms. Houle, we have a motion and support to approve the minutes from the December 8th, 2021 special meeting. Are there any suggested additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes for the December 8th, 2021 special meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item are the financial reports. In your packet, you have reports from the township, referred to on the agenda as general township, road fund, Mason wastewater fund, TC, which is Tamarack City water, and OT, Osceola Township water. Please note that at the water board meeting, utility board meeting prior to, and at the Tamarack City meetings, the minutes had been approved at those meetings. The reports of those meetings, not the minutes. So what is your pleasure with regards to the financial reports? General Township, Road Fund, Mason Wastewater, Tamarack City Water / Utility, Osceola Township Water / Utility, noting that the financial reports have been accepted and recommended up to the board by the 2 advisors.
I will make a motion to, accept all financial reports as presented.
A motion from Ms. Gardner to accept all financial reports as presented. Is there support?
Support.
Support. Any questions, comments, concerns about what you have before you?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to accept the financial reports in their totality for General Township, Road Fund, Mason Wastewater, TC Water Utility, Osceola Township Water Utility. Please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are accepting the financial reports. Item 7, approval of payment of bills. General Fund, Road Fund, Mason Fund, TC Water/Utility, Osceola Township Water/Utility. Any recommendations coming up, most recently from the Osceola Township Utility Board to accept a recommendation to approve the payment of bills as presented.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
A motion to pay the bills as presented.
Yep.
Ms. Gardner, is there support?
No support.
I have support. Please note there was discussion of the bills at the Tamarack City Water Utility meeting as well, and no objection to them. Motion to approve payment of the bills as presented for the General Fund, Road Fund, Mason Fund, Tamarack City Water Utility, and Osceola Township Water Utility. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We've reached the public comment session, first of 2 for the Township Board meeting. Anyone interested in offering comment at this time would have up to 3 minutes to do so. Please identify yourself, and your 3 minutes will begin after your introduction and when you begin speaking. Is there anybody that would like to address the board?
Horace Schmidt. Question from the regular December 8th meeting minutes. There's a Tamarack City land split request. Is this the property that's on M26? And the gentleman wants to subdivide a lot into 2 parts? Is that Gregory Graber's property?
In response to your question, the answer is yes. That issue has been tabled, and Mr. Draven will be at the meeting in February to address the board and respond to questions relative to his request.
Okay. But that's all I have, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else that would like to address the board at this time during public comment? You would have up to 3 minutes. Would ask that you identify yourself, and your time would begin after your introduction. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll close public comment at this time. This is the first of 2 public comment opportunities during the board meeting. Ms. Will, please note the time. Before we adjourn, should you hear something during the course of the meeting that you would like to offer comment or input on, you will have an opportunity at that time before the meeting is adjourned. Reports. We do not have an assessor's report. Please note that our assessor was in the office on Tuesday, the 4th of January, and did talk with both Christa and myself at that time, addressing issues. She did participate in the December Board of Review meeting that took place over a 2-day period, driven by the weather. On the 16th and 17th of December, minutes in draft form for that meeting over 2 days are in the materials distributed and posted for tonight's meeting, I believe, on the website. Thank you. But we do not have a written report from the assessor at this time for the month of December. Maintenance, there is a handout, it's probably in your packet, I believe. Christa incorporated the handouts earlier today into the packet, so there's a maintenance report. All all of us present on the board participated in the Osceola Township Water/Utility Board meeting. There is an action item coming up from that board that is a request from the water system operator, Mr. Matt Wolf, for $1,400 for supplies necessary to do valve repair up at the tank. I'm looking at Ron for confirmation that I stated that correctly.
Yep.
Thanks, Ron. The recommendation from the utility board is to approve the request.
I will make the motion,
To approve the request from the, by
1,400.
we have a motion from Ms. Gardner to approve the request coming up from the utility board relative to the supply request from the water system operator in the amount of $1,400. Is there support for the motion?
No support.
Support for the motion. Any further discussion on the motion to approve the supply request?
No.
Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote on the request for supplies.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Halkola?
Yes. Thank you. We passed the motion relative to the supply request from the water system operator recommended by the utility board. In your packet is a report from the Dollar Bay Fire Department, from Dollar Bay First Responders. In your packet, you'll also find two reports from Tamarack City Fire, one for November and one for December, from the fire department, excuse me.
Sounds like they had an interesting November.
Ron, did you have anything to add for the fire department besides what Brad said, just the one car accident?
I have no idea what Brad said, but no.
Okay, he just said there was one car
Yeah,
accident, he
yeah.
wasn't sure of the date.
Well, put it this way, it was one car accident, and no sooner he's thrown up on scene, there was another car accident. And then we got, radio goes off again, dispatch is calling us, got a half mile down the road toward Ripley, there's another car in the ditch.
Oh, I remember.
And then a little while after that, there's another car accident up on Cold Dock Road.
Oh, my God.
So in a matter of 20 minutes, we were busy.
You were busy.
How recently were the last ones that you mentioned? Were they this
They
month?
were all in the same day.
Yeah, all the same day, all within a matter of minutes of each other.
Well,
The
That's a
first-
hectic day.
Right.
Yeah, it was, it's slippery out
The
there.
first one, that one came down Airport
Yeah.
Road and slid through the highway, right? And
Right.
then,
Then the next one come along and clobber the next one,
Yeah.
and by the time we got there, like, oh man, it was
Yeah.
traffic
I remember that
gnarled
day,
up all over the place.
coming home from work. And then there was one down
Yeah.
further and,
Yeah.
yeah,
A
crazy.
trooper came, we had traffic blocked on top of the hills,
yeah.
you know, letting controlling traffic, and a trooper comes down airport, and he's coming down and coming down and coming down. I finally walked to the bottom, I said, slippery? Yeah! And he was just creeping down and what, yeah!
Well, thank you for adding additional information to that report.
I told my son, I said, stay out of your kitchen, I said, people are coming down Airport Road and they're not stopping, and he lives right there, and I'm like, they're gonna end up in your kitchen.
Yep.
They got rid of that ditch, and the people aren't going in the ditch anymore, they're gonna end up in his kitchen. Pretty crazy.
Thank you for the additional information.
Yep.
Anything else backing up to the
Nope, nothing I can think
Dollar Bay
of.
Fire Departments? Okay, thanks, Ron. Thanks, Tracy.
Yep.
Tamarack Utility Board, that, I'm being silly, I apologize for that. Utility Board meeting, there's information in the packet. Also, Torch Lake Sewage Authority information in the packet. Supervisor's report will be oral, and I will do my very best to be clear and succinct. I do, however, start off with an action item. There's material in your packet from Dave Seelan and Associate Nate Gania, relative to a meeting held here on the 4th, on the desire to have us allow them to begin the process of preparing a proposal for consideration relative to piping and other material needs in our right-of-way near the ball field or on township property, more specifically, not in the right-of-way, near the ball field, for expansion of their gas lines in Dollar Bay and surrounding areas. Ultimately, they intend to push a line across the bay and service, I believe, Upper and Lower Point Mills, etc. But they need a station. They are asking at this moment only for permission to prepare a proposal for our consideration. So that is an action item. I think the meeting went very well, and Christa, you were able to participate in part of it.
Mm-hmm.
No, nothing beyond the allowing them to initiate the process was discussed in any detail. Should we give them that latitude this evening, then their proposal will cover everything from what they would be putting in, where they hope to put it in, how they would fence that area to make it aesthetically pleasing, financial
timeline.
considerations, et cetera, et cetera. But in order for them to do that, we need to give them the latitude to initiate the process. So I'm asking the board if they would kindly, to begin the process, if that's your desire, if we could have a motion to that effect.
I will make a motion to allow them to begin the process
Preparing a
of
proposal
preparing a proposal.
for the township board's consideration.
I'll support.
A motion and support. Any further discussion on the motion? Request from Semco. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. You'll find some detail in there, what have you. That will all be fleshed out to a greater extent in the proposal they'll prepare for our consideration. And my assumption, based on the conversation, please correct me if I'm wrong, Christa, they will probably do this rather expeditiously and intend to be at a board meeting either in February, not later than March. So we're looking at fairly tight time.
Quick turnaround time, yeah.
Very quick turnaround time. Thank you very much. Moving along, I may ask Horst if I prevail upon you to add anything relative to the Tamarack City Water/Utility Board meeting where Mr. Gasbridge from Calumet Township and their engineer, Mr. Sullivan, came to the water board meeting last Wednesday evening and presented and responded to questions for about 25 to 30 minutes relative to Calumet Township's purchase of the Michigan American Water Company. They are, if the process moves forward, more than willing to come to a township board meeting to respond to questions that we may have, concerns that may arise, et cetera, et cetera. But we had offered up some questions for their consideration in draft form. They responded to those. They offered additional feedback. This has been a work in progress, but it is slowed, if I may phrase it that way. I'm looking at Horst for confirmation in recent days because they have the parent company of Michigan American Water, headquartered in Indiana, has apparently received a second offer for the purchasing of the water company, and the time period for that offer to be acted upon was, I believe, 45 days.
Correct.
And that time period is about to expire or has just expired. So Calumet Township has, for the last month and a half or thereabouts, been in a holding pattern, waiting to see what's going to happen here. They're hopeful that they will be able to pick up again and move forward with their quest to purchase the water company. They went into some detail about this being one of the few, if not the only, privately held water company, certainly in the Upper Peninsula, if not the entire state. They talked about who would manage it, for example. They would probably transfer management after purchase. I'm again looking at Horst for confirmation, to the North and Houghton County North End Water and Sewage Authority, on which board we have a representative, Mr. Koppel. So they responded, I thought, quite successfully to, as far as they could go, to all of our questions, availed themselves to come back informally and availed themselves to come to this board at some future date, once they know whether or not the process will continue with them as the sole offer at this moment. They have to wait for that time period to run out. If I may, if the board would permit me, Horst, as the vice chair, now chairing the water board meetings. Is there anything you'd like to add at this time?
Well, I'm hopeful that because the water lines in a number of areas are original, that this may deter, another company from purchasing the water works. I mean, I think it's really important for local control of this asset for our purposes in terms of making sure that we keep the water rates reasonable.
That was one of the questions that we had come up with here that was on our minds and shared with them about rates. And they were reassuring to the extent that they could be. Is that a fair summation?
Yeah.
But Horst did raise an interesting point. We are a wholesale buyer from them, I believe at the township level, and then of course the retail end is the customer in Tamarack City. And our lines are comparatively new, if not virtually brand new, compared to the service lines that Horst referenced a moment ago. So there was some discussion about that as well. But we're sort of in a holding pattern right now until the time period runs out or the other offer is rejected. That's conjecture on my part, but the hope is that Calumet Township will be very active again in pursuit of the Michigan American Water Company in the next several days, if not a week or two.
So this other company made an offer?
That's our understanding, is that an offer was made by a second company out of New Jersey, is it?
Yes.
Purchase the
And
Michigan
then
American Water Company.
What happens at the end of the 45 days?
Well, if they apparently don't make an offer, it's my understanding that's their window in which they may approach with an offer. If
Okay,
they do not
Due
exercise.
diligence
Yeah.
time, right,
Yeah.
Mark?
okay,
That would have, yeah, they have this
Yeah.
month and a half period in which to, in essence,
and at the time of the meeting,
the clock is still running.
okay, and they had not responded at that
Not
point? I'm
as of that
assuming?
period of time, a week ago. Now, the
Yeah.
time period may be running out or have already run out,
Yeah,
but, Mr. Gasbridge indicated that when they had information, they'd be sharing it with us, and I've received no phone call,
okay.
so.
The other question I had, that list of questions that we had, who's the secretary of the utility board?
Mr. Westfall.
Oh,
Charlie.
okay, is he gonna have
He
like a
summarized- yeah.
verbatim, like this was the
Yeah, he is going to
question,
be
this was the answer?
summarizing to the best of his ability what transpired.
Okay,
And I'm sure Charlie, being as good as he is with
Yeah.
minutes, it will be a quite accurate and very
Okay.
fair representation of what took place.
okay, cause I'd be interested to know the
Yeah.
answer to a lot of those
Well,
questions.
and of course, by attending our meeting, and I'm turning to him
Yeah.
because he's now chairing the utility board in Tamarack City.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mr. Klein's recent resignation from
Right.
that position. Steve's still
Yeah.
on the board. But there were four of us there, only
Mhm.
Mr. Wareham was absent last week. But it was a pretty good discussion, I thought, lasting 25 to 30 minutes or thereabouts.
I mean, very thorough.
I think so, Horst, yeah, thank you.
I mean, they actually knew the answers to most of the questions we asked.
And in detail, so you felt satisfied. I don't think we looped back on any of the issues except maybe concern about the quality of the lines that serve Tamarack City, because they had talked briefly about repairs from the pumps up in Calumet Township, up the hill from near the lake. And we, of course, are concerned about the age and status of the lines that join up with us at the Torch Lake, Osceola Township line in Tamarack City. I think they got the gist of that though from the questions asked.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you very much for
Well,
joining us, and I think it's important to get
Mhm.
both feedback, because I certainly was taking some notes but didn't capture everything. Thanks, Horst, really appreciate your participation.
You're welcome.
Board of Review, the draft minutes are in your packet for review. Footnote is there is a Board of Review training for the 16th of February on the Michigan Tech campus. This is an MTA-sponsored event, and as of this afternoon, all 5 members of the Board of Review, that includes the alternates, have indicated a desire to attend. So next week, I'll work with Ms. Houle to get registration in on behalf of the Board of Review. I had a successful meeting with our attorney on the 21st of December, covering a myriad of township issues in about 75 to 90 minutes. He indicated he would try to get written responses, a written response to us this week, but as of late today, it had not arrived. With the holidays and everything, I think it was a fairly generous time frame that Patrick laid out for us, so I'm guessing they'll probably come in next week and we'll have them for our February meeting. Next item I want to bring to your attention is that you may recall that there was a letter relative to our meter vault on the Osceola Township line for the Tamarack City water system and the purchase of surrounding property to that meter vault by private individual. We have to the end of this month to respond to his request for information. I've had a couple of discussions with Mr. Subpoena, and in a previous packet, I included material from Mr. Subpoena at Travis Engineering relative to the question asked. Mr. Subpoena stopped in here and spoke with me for several minutes this morning. Spoke with us for several minutes this morning, and asked that I should contact, or suggested I should contact the road commission, since it's their, for lack of a better term, easement permission. It's not the right term I'm trying to, it just doesn't come to me, I apologize for not remembering the term, but we obtained permission.
Revocable permit?
That may be it, thank you, Horst.
Revocable easement.
Yeah, and he's confident that they have the information there. I immediately called Mr. Haru, and we're going to be getting together a week from today at 9 o'clock in the morning to go over his paperwork. And pretty confident we'll have sufficient material after that meeting to forward to the property owner, indicating that we are there with permission, have a right to be there, and hopefully that will satisfy his concern and address the issue successfully from our standpoint. So, a quick ice rink update. Coming in the door, you may have noticed that there's a notice that we are advertising for an ice rink manager. Our longstanding ice rink manager has a new position that makes it rather difficult for him to get away during the day until around the dinner hour, if I understood him correctly in a conversation, before he could do any of the work. So he has provided me on a couple of occasions with an oral resignation, including as recently as today. With that in mind, we have posted the position. We've also had a number of contacts who have talked with Mr. Jetta, our immediate past ice rink manager, about the ice rink opening. They have come forward in 2 instances. There are others apparently out there that have availed themselves as volunteers. I'm going to be talking with them tomorrow afternoon to see what they are bringing to the table, and I think it's considerable. They both have experience relative to putting ice rinks up. I did mention the position, but neither expressed interest. These are people, I believe, that are employed full-time, but anxious to help in any way they can to get the ice rink operational. I've contacted our insurance company relative to the liability question. That information is in the packet. That arrived in the last 24 hours from the Houle agency. In addition, I've approached, based on some suggestions received relative to access to the proposed ice surface, that we put an opening and or hinge the boards, so we have an offer of about $750 that I think we can act on after a conversation with Travis Eck from TWE, who put the boards in. He's got a solution for that, so we will probably be approaching him very quickly, perhaps right after this meeting, to see what kind of opening we would need to put a set of hinges on a couple of the sets of boards, a latch and whatever, making sure everything's secure once they're back in place. And then we would have a way of accessing with a larger vehicle, other than just say a snow machine or a four-wheeler, to go in and pank the snow down. I can get away with that up here in UP, pank. Thank you. well, I grew up with pink and I used it someplace else once and people looked at me and said, what are you talking about? Pat it down, pink it down. You've never heard the term. Been using it for better than 70 years, so thank you for that, Ron, I appreciate that. I didn't quite understand why they were laughing at me at the time. But hopefully we'll have ice in the not too distant future. Obviously, we'll be contacting the board and interested parties. The notice for the position does include, Christa put it on the bottom, that if you're interested in volunteering your time, please contact the township office. So I'm looking at the first meeting with the two gentlemen that are coming tomorrow, along with, I think, our maintenance person, Mr. Reed, to talk about what they can offer, and then if they put it in writing, then we can get it back to our insurance company and make sure it fits into what they have to offer, and we can greenlight people going forward on a volunteer basis. I know the community is anxious to see it in use. One comment I will share is somebody commented that we're waiting. Last year we had ice but no boards. This year we have boards but no ice. And I said, we're working on it, so bear with us. So apologized, and they said, well, anything we can do to help? And I said, yes, volunteer. That's something I'm not eminently familiar with. Houghton County Rec Authority met on Monday the 10th, ostensibly about trails, both the Snowmobile Trail and the proposed non-motorized trail that is now gaining traction locally. The idea of running on the MDOT or lower trail, if you will, between Dollar Bay, Woodside, Mason, Tamarack City et al., a non-motorized trail. I attended because of our collective interest in that and a desire to be a part of the process going forward. But as most all of you know, we also have a considerable interest in the Snowmobile Trail between here and Mason, because we have water lines underneath it, and in the Mason area, the sewer lines are underneath there. So I pointed that out. I think they appreciated that input. They asked if we're on board, and I said, well, I'm only speaking for myself in essence. It hasn't come to the board formally. I'm guessing by the February 9th meeting, we'll be asked to take formal action if we want to participate in the non-motorized trail effort. I will attend a meeting on the 26th, which I believe is 2 weeks from today, hosted by Franklin Township, that I believe will be open to the public, to talk about the proposed non-motorized trail between the bridge all the way to the Lake Linden area, at a minimum. So something interesting, exciting, and maybe incorporated into our upcoming 5-year recreational plan. So we'll see. That's conjecture on my part, not something that's taken place yet. I mentioned the meeting on the 26th. There are also discussions underway relative to the Snowmobile Trail. I have spoken with the DNR recently. Mr. Herkus from OHM originally planned on attending tonight's meeting, but when we spoke earlier today relative to the Snowmobile Trail, my conversations with representatives of the DNR were consistent with his conversations with representatives of the DNR, and the process has slowed slightly. They have some private property issues they're trying to address. So Zane will be joining us, Mr. Herkus, on the 9th to give us an update, assuming that progress has been made between now and then on the property issue in Tamarack City. Lastly, I did receive an email that there is going to be an attempt to reinvigorate the Houghton County chapter, if you will, of the Michigan Township Association, and they have those interested in getting the group back together have tentatively scheduled a meeting for Thursday, the 27th of January. I've indicated an interest in participating in that and nothing more, so I have a report on that. Does anybody have any questions about any of the things I've reported on here? Hearing none, I'll move on. First, thank you very much for your participation. Ron, thank you for your participation during the report, really appreciate it. Moving on then to unfinished business, as I indicated a moment ago, Mr. Perkis from OHM, snowmobile update, has been rescheduled for the meeting on February 9th. There is an action item on unfinished business, for the board's consideration this evening. That is the 16th draw request from UP Engineering Architects. There are two parts to it. A resolution in the amount of $580.02 that will need the yeas and nays on. It will be a roll call vote. And then, of course, to approve the amendment, which triggers the payment. I believe it's amendment number 4 in the service agreement. So, it's the board's pleasure, a single motion to address both the resolution and the amendment, or two separate motions.
I will make a motion for, to request amendment number 4, along with draw request number 16 in the amount of $580.02.
Yeah, and that would be the resolution.
Yep.
A motion on the floor, is there support? We have support. Any discussion on the motion to approve amendment number 4 and the resolution draw request number 16? Did I summarize that correctly?
Yep.
Further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, a roll call vote is in order, Ms. Houle?
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Halkola,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Motion passes, 3 votes in favor, none opposed. Thank you very much. Tabled items, the Elm Street restoration plan is still tabled. Probably will remain so until the spring. Certainly it will, and I use the spring term broadly because we will be working on budgets during the month of March, and spring begins in March, and I think we conclude our work technically in the spring before the start of the new fiscal year. And we'll be looking at all the requests for funding that have come in during that process. And a footnote, please remember that our budget meetings are open to the public, along with a public hearing that will take place mid to late March. I recall the time frames correctly, relative to the budgets for operation of the township in the coming year. That's still tabled. The land split request from Mr. Greg Rebird remains tabled. I did talk with him earlier in the day, and he indicated he is available and will come on the 9th of February as well. If I can back up, and if you'll indulge me, I'll make this part of my report. I neglected to mention this, but we will be working on, as we have been for some period of time, amending our budgets for the current fiscal year. But it is the intent at this moment, with the board's understanding and permission, to schedule a meeting on the amended budgets probably the week of the 31st of January. So we could have a work session that of course would be open to the public, as all budget discussions in that regard are. It would allow staff in the office a little more time to pull all the revenue streams together and prepare some of the charts that have been requested that have not been completed yet. So we're not talking about a meeting that in the next few days, but a couple of weeks from now, plus the week of the 31st of January. In all likelihood, it will be posted well in advance as to date, time, and location. In all likelihood, the location will be here at the township office. So keep that in mind, and please be alert to that, because we'll probably be posting the meeting date as early as next week, once we poll the absent members as to their availability on particular days. Thank you for letting me back up. I went right past that, and I apologize. Part of my report. New business. The first item is an offer to assist with the development of the township's 5-year recreational plan. I believe it comes from Whooper, does it not?
Yep.
There's information in your packet. The price is slightly higher in their offer than 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I think it goes up from 2,500 to 3,000.
Mhm.
But they're asking us, relative to their offer of assistance, there's some additional information here, attached to the letter that you have. Is there a motion to accept the offer
I'll make
of
that motion.
assistance? Ms. Houle, is there support for that?
I'll support.
Motion and support. Is there discussion on the motion relative to the offer from Wappitter to assist with the development of our 5-year recreational plan for the years, I believe it starts in 2023 and would expire around 2028, is that correct? I think it runs through
I think
20.
27.
Yeah, I think it runs through 27 and
Put
expires.
28, sorry.
No, that's okay, that's probably my
It's
error.
confusing the way
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm always perplexed as to the start date relative to whose fiscal year some of these
I know,
things are
I
on,
know.
so
Right.
please indulge us. It is a 5-year plan. The current year, we're fine.
Mhm.
If it steps off on the 1st of January, 2023, then 24, 25, 26, 26, yeah, probably through 27.
For the spring of 2023.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Did everybody hear that?
Yeah, it's 23 to 27, yeah.
Then
I just looked at the
please
other one.
adjust the amendment, or excuse me, amend the, agenda to indicate 27 versus 28. Thank you. 7 minus 3 is 4. Yeah,
That's
I get
right,
confused all the time
right.
with that too, but
But you have to count the years.
The year, yeah, the
23,
year
24,
zero,
25,
yeah.
26, yeah.
you're absolutely right. That's my error, Tracy, not yours.
Okay.
I'm the one that did it. All right, we've gone around the issue. We have a motion on the floor to accept the offer. Are there any further discussion on the motion?
Not on the motion, no.
This will require a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Ms. Gardner,
Yes,
Mr. Halkola,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Last item identified under new business.
before you go,
Oh, I
I
apologize.
just, I had discussion, just not on the motion, so, the last time we did this back in 18, actually, I think we started in 17, we had a committee, we had 2 community members and 2 township members or something like that. Anyway, so, we should probably do something to see if there's, interest for people to be on that committee, because there's there's legwork involved.
May I suggest that we put the process on the agenda for the February meeting or March meeting?
Mhm.
And that we review what was utilized in the past as a planning approach
Mhm.
and build on that.
Mhm.
We may find that there's even more interest from the community in the recreational plan, all of the things that we've been discussing at meetings. So we may want to look at a little larger group by way of example. So,
Oh,
good
I-
idea, thank you for bringing that.
I would say we would definitely, take more people if there was
Yeah.
interest, though. Okay,
Okay. We'll make sure that's on the agenda for a future meeting, not later than the March meeting. Thanks, Christa. Anything else?
mm-mm.
Lastly, in your packet is a proposed meeting schedule for the coming fiscal year, and please note, our fiscal year begins in April. Our meeting schedule runs from April 1st of one year to March 31st of the following year. So our fiscal year ends on March 31st of this year. We are already into the final quarter of the fiscal year, so. There is one change to that because of an election, right? The normal meeting date is moved. You note that? Obviously, we can change our meeting schedule with appropriate notice to the community and everything else if there's a need to. But do I have a motion to accept the proposed meeting schedule for 22-23 that is offered this evening?
Motion.
The school moves that we accept the meeting schedule for the coming fiscal year. Is there support?
I'll support.
Is there any additional discussion on the motion to accept the meeting schedule as presented for the coming fiscal year?
Did the Tamarack City Utility Board, did they get to see it also?
They haven't seen it yet. We
Okay.
may,
I just wanna make sure they're,
it will
Those
be
dates
on, we'll place it on the agenda for their input for the next meeting. We could accept just the Osceola portion of this evening and allow them an opportunity to review the proposed meeting schedule. Although I believe it's consistent with their,
It's consistent with the normal days, it did not land on any holidays. Like November isn't too close to, hunting or anything like that, so I tried to be cognizant of.
might
what I
I
was looking
suggest that
at.
we accept this then relative to the TC Water Board pending their endorsement of the meeting schedule?
I don't think we have to send it till March, right, Tracy, do you remember?
Yeah.
End of March or something.
We'll make sure it's on the agenda for the February
Okay.
2nd meeting then.
Okay.
I'm offering a friendly amendment to your motion, that we accept the schedule and that we're awaiting input as part of the motion from Tamarack City as to their acceptance at the utility board. Is that okay? Is that all right with you, Ms. Olson? So we have a motion in support with a friendly amendment to seek input from the Tamarack City Utility Board relative to the meeting schedule,
Yeah.
seeking their endorsement as offered.
Yep.
Understood?
Mhm.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have a schedule for Osceola Township, the Osceola Township Water Board, and we'll await endorsement from Tamarack City's Utility Board as to the schedule. Thank you. Is there anything else anybody believes we need to discuss this evening before I call for public comment one more time? Do you see anything? We've reached the end of our agenda and taken action on a few items this evening. But there is one more opportunity for public comment before a motion to adjourn. Would anybody like to address the board at this time? You will have up to 3 minutes, and your time will begin after you introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. Horace Schmidt, I have two items. One, on Tuesday, the county commission voted to have virtual meetings available permanently at the monthly meetings of the county commission. And this will allow people not only to watch, but also to provide public comment through that venue. So just to make you aware that this is occurring. And the other item is that Senator McBroom has proposed a bill to allow a certain commission to have virtual meetings if the bill would be passed. So we're starting to see some of this change occurring as we've brought this issue up to the Osceola Township Board previously. So that's one item. The second item is the recreation plan. Is this the one where the Whooper will send out a survey to residents?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, are there any areas in the city or the township that we, as a township, want to take a look at in terms of making it recreational areas? Because I'm thinking in terms of the fact that there's municipal, the trust funds from DNR that are available for that, which you're aware of, but it's an opportunity for the township to develop these types of places and activities that might interest people to come here and, to spend some money and some time in Osceola. So I think that's the parts that I think are important. And perhaps that's something we should ask Whooper to take a closer look at as they go through the process of writing up our recreation plan for the next 5 years.
Anything else? You still have a few seconds left.
One more. When is what time is the meeting for the recreation trail at Franklin Township on the 26th? 6:30 or something like that?
Something like that, call me,
Okay.
and go into my folder.
Okay.
It's either 5:30 or 6:30.
I think it's 6:30.
Is it 6:30? Okay, thanks, Jim.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome. Would anyone else like to address the board? We'll have up to 3 minutes, and Please identify yourself. Anyone? Hearing none, we'll bring the second public comment session to a close. We've reached the end of our agenda to include the second public comment session. It appears that there is nothing else to come before the board at this time. A motion to adjourn is in order.
Motion.
Motion from Ms. Houle to adjourn, is there support?
I'll support.
Gardner supports, we have a motion and support to adjourn. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We stand adjourned, please note the time.
No, 7:09, I took the 7:09.
Thank you.
Did you?